Hello, everyone, and welcome to an early bird hotline league. It is 12:16 p.m. in Los Angeles, and it is 9:16 p.m. in Berlin, where Mark is right now. How's it going, Mark?
Good.
My constant co-host just had to battle with German customer, or not customer service, but I guess customer service, trying to get his bill at the restaurant. So we're starting 16 minutes late, but that's what it's like in Berlin.
The customer service is interesting.
Yes.
They kind of have an attitude which I don't mind because I kind of I'd rather have someone be a little rude than a little too nice.
Yeah.
So I don't hate it.
Yes. I do hate it. I just feel like it's really hard to get a bill whenever you need to go do a show. Either way, we're doing this episode at odd hours because Mark is in Berlin and he can't do it at what would be like 4 in the morning. So instead, we're doing it this way. What's happening here? We're getting a chest shot of you. Anyway, we're doing it very early, which means
On your own.
that if you're watching
Anytime
live,
that happens, my headset died and I have to re-plug it back in.
gotcha. If you are watching live, it should be easy for you to get on the show because there's a lot less people watching because people aren't used to this time. The other thing is we might have a bit of a shorter show. We will see, but obviously we don't have a guest this week. But we wanted to make sure we still did a Hotline League. We weren't able to do one on Monday. So we've got 2 days of MSI action to discuss. Isn't everyone just hyped about MSI in North America? I'm sure you've all been staying up and watching all of the games.
Well, you should be especially hyped because we're crushing our competition like Order, and yeah.
I am so happy. Can I just say I'm so happy that Worlds is in North America this year because I feel like every international event for so long has been at a terrible time for North American viewers, and we also just get crushed every time. So I just worry that a lot of North American viewers are not watching the international events, and so it's nice that we'll finally have one in America.
Yeah, I can't wait for Worlds. Also because I won't be in Germany then.
Yes. It's a very good reason. No, how you been, Mark? How's the cast and everything doing? You've been getting a ton of praise for. I feel like you've picked up the mantle of the unhinged caster, which is what I think Kobe had at Worlds last year, and now you're just the one that's gone full psycho mode on the cast.
I am surprised people think that because I've been here since Saturday. It's like I'm not jet lagged.
Yeah,
I'm just being an idiot because it's an international competition and it should be fun, you know? And
yeah.
I think you should still be, respectful of the teams and their journeys to get here and all that stuff. But at the same time, a lot of these games currently are mismatches.
Yes.
For example, G2 versus EG
Yeah, I knew
is
you
a
were going to
horrible
say
mismatch. And like a lot of these games, like I was lucky enough to cast one of the few like serious close games so far this tournament. Like even Red over oh my god, who'd they beat? Upset PSG, which was an
PSG.
upset. It wasn't even close. Like a lot of the casts can get like a little dry, I think, if you're trying to like speak with gravity the whole time. And so I'm just trying to have fun. And that's pretty much my goal. And I feel like if you listen to my cast for a lot of this year, I'm usually relatively unhinged. I do think maybe I've gone a little bit further with it being international play, but
yeah, I think it's interesting. I wanted to ask you, what is it like? Because this is your first time. Wait, have you cast? You've cast like play-ins before from the LA studio, right?
just last year with Pastry, that was
Okay,
the first time.
right. All right. So
I've done play-ins on the desk before though.
I was gonna ask you though, what is it like casting like an EG 2 game where you have to see EG like lose and throw the throw that was thrown to them?
I mean, it wasn't so bad because I think I'm used to it at this point in my career. Like
Yeah.
I've covered enough analyst desks where the team I want as an NA representative has lost or is losing, and it doesn't feel good. And at this point, you're just kind of over it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty. I'm not like super emotionally invested. I also think right now in the tournament the stakes are actually low, so there's not like much emotional damage being done. If you're gonna play that TikTok, it
Right.
wouldn't be that strong because like I don't realistically think there's a world EG doesn't get out. And I know I'm like cursing them by saying this, but I said it on JLXP. I'll say it again. There's like realistically no way that we don't make the Rumble stage. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, we go 0-4 versus G2. Who the fuck cares? We're still moving on. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Medic is in the chat and wants to know why you won't cast with him.
I don't know. I didn't see him at the studio today. I was looking for him, and then I didn't. I don't know. Is he working later in the tournament? I have no idea where he is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't seen. I've seen Vedius. I've seen Cage Roll. I've seen Dracos.
Is Medic not casting MSI?
I don't know. Is he? Is he just on the later stage?
I didn't pay attention enough to the list when they announced all the talent, so I don't know.
I'll be honest. Like half the people who showed up to MSI were a surprise to me. I didn't look at the list either.
Yeah,
I'm just so busy with content with Travis.
Yes, exactly. I will say my channels are starting to get very quiet and dusty while I've been.
Oh, he casts tomorrow.
Oh,
Keck W.
There we go. Okay.
You think I check the talent assignments on days I'm not casting?
Yeah. Do you go to? Will you go to the studio tomorrow, even though you're not casting?
Probably actually. There's not much else to. Well, I guess there's a whole city to explore, but that sounds pretty fucking boring. So I'll probably go to the studio or stay in the hotel.
You have to watch the games at some point, right? So, because if you're going to cast them the next day, you kind of have to know what is happening in them.
Maybe I could just bullshit.
Wow.
No. People are gonna think I'm not. I'm not trying.
That's gonna be. This man gets to go to his first international event, and now he's just acting like he's throwing it in.
Oh, someone called me out for calling GAM Esports Gigabyte Marines.
Oh god.
And then I was like, isn't that them? And then I looked, and it's because they dropped Gigabyte Marines, but they're still GAM. But it's like TSM calling themselves no longer Team Solo Mid.
Well, I'm waiting for you. I have to constantly correct you to call SKT T1.
Oh, I've already done it. On air. Thankfully,
that is such a way to piss people off. They get really upset.
Thankfully, I'm not casting any of their games. I guess maybe they heard that I have this issue where I still call them SKT.
Yeah.
So
I mean, everybody does in North America. I talk to so many esports people here that just still call them SKT because it's just they didn't change their name enough to get people to like think of them differently.
Yeah. Well, especially the teams that just like literally drop their name and just keep the acronym. I'm like, so now it means fucking nothing, like it's just TSM. Yeah. It doesn't stand for anything. It's just GAM. It doesn't stand for Gigabyte. I forget what the A was, like Arnold Marines or something, or it's like, yeah, Gamers 2 is now just G2. I'm gonna call them Gamers 2 next time I cast. Fuck them.
You should. All right. What other than that? How's the event been for you?
It's been pretty chill. I'm pretty reclusive, as you know. So like, I went down to go to the like hotel bar to get just a quick burger before coming up, and then all the other talent was down there hanging out, and I was like, I'm a bad coworker.
I mean, that's just you.
Exactly.
Who was I talking to about that? I was talking to somebody. I forget who, and I was just like, I'm sure Mark is doing absolutely nothing. What was that skit that you did with Dracos? Like, did you guys just say it would be funny to do a skit together, and so then you did that?
Yeah, I forget where the inspiration for it came from, but like we were just somehow on the idea that we should give me like the quote unquote real Berlin experience because I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
And then he told me that's what the real Berlin experience was, and we were like, let's just do some smash cuts onto a video. So that's what we did.
It was very strange to see you smoking a cigarette. It felt very foreign because I've never seen you do anything like that. I would expect.
What the hell? I rip mad cigs, dude.
Yeah. All right. Well, shout out to Alienware and Grubhub for sponsoring the show. We're going to talk about them in a little bit, but also, let's talk about how MSI is going. So I will be honest, I have not adjusted my sleep schedule entirely to catch the late games, but I've been catching up on them. It doesn't seem like anything too like I guess the craziest upset is probably still Red Canids over PSG, which
Well, so I actually think this has turned out to be better than I would have expected coming into the event
you
because
thought
I thought
it was going to be more one-sided.
Well, no, I mean there are a lot of one-sided games, but I thought PSG would for sure win, and now that's all up in the air. Group B is actually like live, I guess you could say. The vote is live to take Survivor terms. And for Group A, I think a lot of people were pegging DFM to be better than Saigon because Saigon's the #2 team from the VCS, and DFM has been the best wildcard region for a little while, or wildcard team, I should say. And so the fact that that's also up in the air makes, I think, most of the groups, or 2 of the 3 groups, exciting.
But they were only the best because, well, I shouldn't say it this way. They were the best in tournaments where VCS did not attend, correct? Like, I don't think that they ever popped off in a tournament where VCS was.
Not really, but I mean, it's also around the same time that they were getting better. Like LGL was actually straight bad for a little bit, and then they were slowly getting better. But also, right. VCS is technically not a minor region team, right? Them and VCS and PCS are both not minor regions.
I mean, they don't use those terms anymore, I don't think.
Well, I don't think we've been given a direct term to call wild cards, because they told us not to call them wild cards, to call them emerging regions. But then after 5 years of emerging, we were like, what do we call them?
Yes.
So I think it's minor.
Trying to come up with any kind of language to call them. So I don't know. I think they're a non-major region. Maybe it's the only, because I think they still use the language major region for the Big Four.
Well, what's funny is, I guess we're technically a major region, but we are in Pool 2. So if you just go by pool nomenclature, PCS, VCS, and LCS are all Pool 2 seeds. But like in terms of actual tier rating, it's like the 2 Eastern regions, then EU, then NA, kind of VCS and PCS, but still probably PCS favored, or at least, I mean, VCS has been gone for 2 years, so it's hard to say. And then there's like, it had been Turkey and Brazil. Now it seems like it's Japan. Like that was the other thing too. It's not just that the PCS disappeared, or the VCS disappeared for a little bit, and then Japan came up. But they also climbed over a lot of the other minor regions that they were worse than for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're having a good time. How late are you? Are you able to say when you are leaving or coming back or whatever?
I think I leave on Monday.
Oh wow! So you really only do. Well, I guess that's actually when Rumble ends.
It's the end of the first Rumble, or the first group stage. Rumble's next week, dum-dum.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, I fly back on Monday.
I hate that they did this. It's still so annoying to me. It's annoying to me that... Yeah, whatever. Because it's still plans for Worlds, right?
Yeah. Groups for Worlds is groups. And groups for MSI had been groups for the longest time, but now play-ins became groups, and groups became Rumble. But then groups is still groups for over there, and play-ins still play-in.
Right, and it exactly. And so they did this change last year, and it was like annoying because I constantly had to correct myself last year, and I haven't still switched over. It's weird because you're constantly pivoting back and forth to groups being play-ins or play-ins being groups or whatever. So there's no Rumble at Worlds, for instance, unless they. He ends up being meta, I guess. All right. Shall we start taking some calls? I'm wondering what there is to talk about besides MSI. If there's anything I'm missing, it seems like ping is like a drama. What's that?
Oh, the ping conversation. Yeah.
I think the ping stuff is very fun. Like it's very funny because you have different players that are like, yeah, whatever, we're just gonna figure it out. Then you have players that are like, this is terrible. There seems to be no agreement on if it is actually 35 ping or it isn't, but it feels like a lot of people feel like it doesn't feel like 35 ping, which is like hard. I would believe you if it wasn't actually 35 ping in practice, but I also don't know. I don't know. Oh yeah, you said that. Did you say the TSM drama?
What's the TSM drama?
Well, I think we haven't done the show since the additional article came out in Washington Post.
Yeah, the Regi abuse one.
Yeah, and the contract miscategorization stuff that is all allegedly happening. And then
Mm.
also Peter posting his document where they threatened to sue him.
There, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so funny the Bryce Plum catching strays. It's
I
too
mean,
funny.
I I how do I put this? It's just a funny situation because he is a personality in the TFT space, and I think he has done a lot of stuff publicly to try to create an image of himself as like a good citizen and Samaritan within the esports space with things like gamers versus COVID-19 and stuff. But I think a lot of us have also known that he's responsible for almost all of the team contracts that people have often said are questionable, um, in terms of the way they're done, and also like this. It's just funny because this is kind of like a glimpse behind the scenes. Is I guess the way that I would put it, right? Like this
I
is
mean,
his full time job as a lawyer for people. He's gonna do stuff like this.
I think it just outs people as being idiots. If you're surprised that a lawyer did what a client wanted him to do.
I mean, yeah, I don't like. I again, like, I don't fault. I'm not like, how dare he do this? It's just it. The funny thing is that it's very contrary to the image he has perpetuated, right?
I don't know. Is it contrary, or do people just not know how lawyers operate?
I think they don't know how esports lawyers operate, and I don't think they under, understand. Like, there was sort of the in front of the curtain and behind the curtain stuff, right? It's like in front of the curtain, yeah, game. I care about player rights, and I'm going to create this thing with Snoopy that never becomes a thing, and I'm going to do gamers versus COVID-19, all that stuff. And behind the scenes, I'm going to put language in contracts that is aggressive, that Riot has to like make rules to like undermine every year and all that stuff. So it's just, I don't. It's I think that's the thing, is that it's people haven't really talked too much about how this stuff works behind the scenes. Maybe is the best way to put it. Anyway, so there's the double F stuff. There's the TSM stuff. We guess we can talk about that. Is there anything else? There was some momentary Summit drama where it seemed like Summit was getting blocked by Jack from going to TSM. But again, I heard like I would be very surprised if there's a way for him to block that, given that he released Summit and there's like zero buyout, and like he was just looking for some place for him. So
I mean, Jack already came out and clarified that, and then people there was like the initial thread, then there was the follow up thread, and it sounds like Summit might have just like like it wasn't translated well, or maybe he
yeah,
just
yeah,
misspoke. I'm not quite
yeah. I
sure, but
think
it sounds
like
like he.
he
I
didn't
think
see
he
it
was
was.
saying like,
Oh, go ahead.
no, sorry, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah. Instead of like, people thought that gets in for us in the Western community, hearing something got blocked after hearing all the Carlos stuff with perks and all that, you think, oh, this is a
Yeah,
thing where like the team owner or manager is blocking something from occurring. Whereas blocked might just be a general term for like, oh, like I wanted to do this and then I got told no, or like somebody else
yeah,
said this was
yeah.
going
I
to
think
happen
I
or
think that's
something.
basically the reality of it, is that there was just a miscommunication
Right.
on that. Because it didn't sound like either party was particularly angry. They're just like, no, we did, and then someone was like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And
so MSI, some TSM drama,
I don't think we need to
and
take a call about this, but I do want to just shout out Biofrost for making a public
oh
statement and
right,
coming
that
out,
too.
which I think is very brave and very cool, given how shitty the gaming community can be. And I think that is just, it's neat to see him do that, because I feel like it's really meaningful for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So
I think that was huge. And then also it was funny seeing the subreddit. I forget who tweeted it out, but I think it was Keen Lamb. Keen Lamb was making fun of the subreddit for patting itself on the back for not being like homophobic, even
yeah,
though like clearly Biofrost was talking about the gaming industry still. And they're like, we're so good now. And it's like, I don't know if you've played any online games in the last month, but no, this problem still exists. And Biofrost, like, it was just like a bunch of people not related to the situation patting themselves on the back for fixing the situation that has not been fixed. It was just like such a weird response by Reddit.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I think it's a lot of that, like, well, I don't have to deal with this, so clearly it's fine type deal.
I haven't seen the problem.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
it's like, okay.
You get that a lot with whenever anybody talks about like the shitty experience that women will have in the space, is you'll have people be like, I haven't seen anything, and it'll be some random person that has never worked in the industry a day of their life that is commenting, and it's like, why do people bring this up? There's no issues. And it's like, okay, cool. Anyway.
Well, also, even just like outside of the league scene in esports, like Reddit is just whatever subreddit you go on. If there's ever an issue, they'll just pat themselves in the back for fixing it. Like, guys, we caught the Boston bomber.
We did it.
Just kidding. We ruined a regular person's life.
Yeah.
It's like, good job, everybody.
Anyway. Okay. So I think that's mostly it, and I don't see anything else in Twitch chat talking about something that we're forgetting. So I think we can probably start to pull takes, and I already see a bunch of people in the pleb topics and
you just
Yep.
I'm not a mod anymore.
Where?
You unmodded me.
Oh, in chat. Yeah, this was last. You didn't see this? This was last week. Whenever you and
yeah, when you timed me out, I didn't realize it took away my moderator privileges.
Yeah. When you time somebody out, it unmods them. I gave it back to you. There you go.
So yeah, I was trying to do that. I was trying to say.
Yeah. Just say
if this is. I'm trying. Goddamn latency is what is there 35 ping right now?
Yeah, there's definitely some lag for us.
Lucas, it was your first time watching Hotline League because normally you're asleep during this time or whatever. It is in fact a live call-in show. You can go ahead, click the link that I was just spamming in Discord. Go ahead, join up when you get here. Go join Pleb Calls or Pleb Calls 2 voice channels. Mute when you get in there. No mouth breathers allowed. And then up in the Pleb Topics text channel up above, that's where you're going to post your take. Whatever it is you want to talk about. You think EG's fine. You think EG's screwed. You think RNG is the favorite of the tournament. Whatever it is that you want to talk about, go ahead, put it up in there. If we like your topic, we'll pull you from that pleb calls room that you're hanging out in onto the waiting room where you'll hang out until it's your turn. And then we will do a quick mic check, make sure you sound good, and then you'll be on air.
And if you are a sub, first off, thank you for being a sub. It's very, very much appreciated. I think with some of our weird time live streams, it's going to be a little lower viewership these days, so the subs are pretty helpful. But please sync your Twitch with your Discord so you can get access to the subtopics chat, which moves a little slower, and you can also make sure you join the subcalls chat or subcalls channel as well. Hey, there we go. Hype train just started. Thanks, folks. Scam train begun. All right, so while Mark is looking for your takes, which it looks like it's pretty slow today, folks. So feel free to go join that Discord if you want to get on the show. We didn't really do a good job of announcing that this was going to be happening at this time because I was a little nervous about if it would happen at this time. So
it almost didn't happen at this time while I went down to get a burger 30 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, I just did not have a ton of faith in Mark's ability to remember timing and all that stuff, given that he's got a lot of other things going on right now. Thank you to some of the subs right now. Wizard Guy, thank you. Coco Jambo V1, thank you for the prime. We are at level 2 of the scam train with 4 minutes left to go. Blitz 470, I'm Elvis 4 for 46 months. Raul Gamer, Horizon Casts, Kyle 0808 for at a tier 2, thank you. Darth Nomi, King Butterball, Shade Rubino, Brakthir, and Casey Clark. And Natural Ninja. Thank you, everybody, for the subs. All right. Mark, you want to go grab somebody?
Yep, sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Someone please ask Mark if he knows what the current morale is in AG. We can do that after. I'll try to do that if I can recall. We should get that going. Did Hotline League just start? We started about 20 minutes ago, I would say. Probably. 25. But yeah. Will the scam train crash? We've got 3 minutes left at level 2. I don't know if anybody has a Prime sub, but I'm just filling time. I'm sorry, podcast listeners. Okay. ChezBurglur is here. Is that how you say it? ChezBurglur?
No, it's ChezBurglur.
ChezBurglur. Okay. I tried
Yeah.
to fancy it too much. All right. Where are you calling from?
Calling from the UK.
From the UK. Hey, look, these early
Yeah.
times are good for you guys.
Yeah. I usually listen to podcasts unless I stay up late.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have you on. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take is it doesn't matter who wins the tournament. This is going to be the most scuffed and controversial tournament in league history.
Okay.
And no fan base is going to be satisfied regardless of the outcome. Maybe only if G2 wins, then at least you'll be happy.
What if EG won? You don't think that NA would be satisfied?
Well, yes, but let's be realistic.
Okay. Anyway, okay. So why do you think it's the most scuffed tournament?
So at the moment, because of like what happened in the first day especially, and with the ping issue, it seems like a lot of people have lost faith with Riot to maintain competitive integrity. Like a lot of the stuff that happened with RNG are somewhat justifiable in a sense that like it can be explained, but that does not mean that the community outside of China is gonna trust Riot again because of like the lack of communication in the first place. So like this is not just a ping issue, but like the headset issue, the camera issue, the no referee thing.
Can you be a little bit more specific? Because we have some folks that don't that listen to this that don't read Reddit all the time.
Yeah, so like on the first day, because RNG is playing remotely, so they do not have referees in the room. They only have one camera showing that's being broadcasted, and that's the camera of the room. And the players can be seen not wearing headphones. They're only wearing earphones.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I think a lot of Korean fans especially, kind of like raise this issue as like like it's ruining competitive integrity because the players playing on site don't have to they have to wear headsets and they have like referees and stuff. So but Riot then released an article on day 2 that says that this all kind of happened because of the pandemic in China, that they can't get people in and stuff like that. So that is why there's like so many issues surrounding RNG playing. So like it's fine in the sense that like it's explainable, but like the fact that this wasn't communicated in the first place kind of made a lot of people angry. And I'm pretty sure even with the somewhat reasonable article that Riot published, a lot of people are still very unhappy with the situation.
Yeah.
And that is not to mention the ping issue, which I think is a much bigger issue. But I think there are a lot of takes about that.
So I would chalk this up to a failure from Riot to Medic. As I'm saying this, Medic in chat says Riot and poor comms is not a surprise though. Exactly. I think what has been disappointing on the Riot side is that they have not managed the conversation around this stuff very well. And it's actually kind of funny because this is very similar to what's happening in the Genshin Impact world. That Mark and I follow this game called Genshin that is their headquarters are in Shanghai. And I think, I don't know enough about the politics in China, but I assume that there's some taboo about talking very explicitly about the situation there, where they're just like, oh, we've got a delay in the patch, and there's no explanation that like the delay is that people can't leave their homes in Shanghai, and so it's like people literally are slowing down the process. So similarly here, I think there's been confusion where you've seen even public figures say stuff like, well, now that Asian games are delayed, RNG should fly to Korea. And I had somebody in the industry say to me like, don't these people know that you can't leave your home, or you can't get out in Shanghai? And the answer is no. Not everybody follows unfortunately not everybody is following and paying attention to stuff that's happening outside of their specific space. So they don't understand the specifics of this stuff. And I don't think Riot has done a good job of being proactive. Like, this is always where Riot fails in communication, is proactive communication. Coming out and saying,
I mean,
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was sorry. I don't mean to be cutting you off. I can't tell if you're going to keep going or not. It's so frustrating because like you can control a narrative so much harder if you're proactive with the conversation rather than reactive. Because like if there's some 15K upvoted thread about BS headsets or whatever, then that's going to just spin up, and you're not going to catch all 15K of those people. So like you just have to go out early and be like, hey, we're trying to keep things fair, but Shanghai has a lot of issues right now beyond League esports that are hampering our ability to get them on site. That's hampering our ability to get them the same equipment. And the only options are not include RNG, which would substantially hurt the the prestige of the event, or we have to kind of make some other restrictions, which again will kind of hurt the prestige of the event, to the caller's point. But like I think people would be happy to have RNG with problems more so than if they just were told to suck it. But because they aren't controlling the narrative, they're letting it go that like somehow this is helping RNG or like RNG's advantage and stuff. Where I don't think that's the case, but and I especially don't think even if they are slightly advantaged, and who's ever gonna really fucking know, but it's not like RNG is the one who's deciding to do this. It wasn't like RNG was like, "Yep, we want to stay home. Fuck you, rest of the world," and then Riot was like, "Oh yes, my lords,"
Well, and the frustrating thing to me is that Riot never learns about proactive communication. They constantly have this issue. So going back to May 19th, my birthday last year, they had to make a statement on the MSI semifinal scheduling because they did not proactively talk about this, and there was a bunch of drama around the semifinal scheduling last year. And so then they come out and they have to make this reactive statement to conversations around team travel and all that stuff. And again, it was with RNG. So it's even the same team. And so I just like, I think it's disappointing that, and I don't know how much of it is they want to be careful about explaining what the situation is like in Shanghai or something because of their relationship with Tencent and China and all that stuff. I don't know, but like, it just would be really good to say like, here's explicitly what we are doing. And there was a statement made before about how they were going to handle the remote stuff, but be like over communicate, just go out and be like, here's exactly how this is going to work. Another great example, by the way, folks, what if RNG loses earlier in the event? Do any of us know if people are going to still be playing on 35 ping or if it's going to revert?
Or like, are they going to be allowed to vote? Like what's the process? You just we're just all find out, I guess.
We have no idea. And so like that's a potential scandal or piece of drama, however you want to handle it, that we have no context on. And like maybe the idea is, well, RNG will probably be in the finals, and so maybe we should not even like put anything out there until we don't know. But like in my mind, like be explicit and be explicit on how things are going to work. Similar stuff happened with like the Peter Dunn stuff around masks, where it was like there was no communication around like this idea that people are going to have to wear masks on stage, and then there's a bunch of drama, and then like,
they reverted too, which shows that like it wasn't like a governmental requirement. Like someone just decided this without talking to the players, apparently. Like it's not a health requirement by the thing then if they can just undo it that easily. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I just like, for me, I just am frequently disappointed in the comm stuff around international events in particular. I think, I don't know. So back to your original point.
Yeah.
So one more thing really quick, just on the ping thing. I see this repeated a lot about like, oh, they're pandering to RNG. They're like, why didn't they do this for the VCS before? And like, it's just, I don't know if people don't know how maps work, but before, all the tournaments were held in Reykjavik, in fucking Iceland or wherever that is. because that was the only place that they could actually host tournaments in person. And the ping from Vietnam to Iceland is slightly worse than the ping from Korea to China. So it's kind of a different situation and doesn't really compare at all, because we couldn't go to Korea then to host a tournament. It had to be there, as far as I'm aware, to like host something.
I do.
But I just want
Everyone gets 300 ping. Yeah, you're right. That would be super. I'm
Burglar,
sure.
what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, on the ping thing, I think what I find a lot more annoying than like the 35 ping is that a lot of players are complaining that it's unstable, that it kind of fluctuates between like 35 and 60 ping, and that seems like a big issue with like the ping in the hotel and the ping on stage. It just seems like Riot is introducing this artificial ping, which is fine for competitive integrity. Like, a lot of people do understand why they do that, but like the implementation of that is really, really shit as far as you can see. Like, I think there are like, what, 10 players that have come out and say that they kind of feel like this is 60 ping and not 35.
It's interesting. So, Travis, you just wanted to have the ping conversation now. We may as well.
Do we have a caller?
For another caller, right?
Do we have a caller about the ping?
I don't think I pulled one yet, so we may as well do it now.
Sure. Go for it.
I don't know if the artificial ping is fucked up or not. I have no insight. It very well could be. A number of players have come out and said it was. But for the sake of argument, let's say it's fine. I don't know how Riot proves that, other than having an engineer come out and be like, no, it's working correct. This is a placebo effect. Because, in my opinion, it very easily could be a placebo effect. A lot of the times, people play on worse ping solo queue environments, and then Tournament Realm is the creme de la creme. And I talked about this on JLXP a little bit, but like, your Tournament Realm environment is almost always better than your solo queue experience. This is one of the only times in League Esports history where the inverse is true. Korean solo queue will have better ping than your Tournament Realm experience. And that will make it so that it feels worse than you're used to. And normally you're going from a bad experience to a good one, and now you're going from a good experience to a bad experience, which might make it feel worse than it really is. And so it could very well be 35 ping like they're saying, but everyone's used to playing on 8, and now it just feels worse. And it sounds like there was that tweet by Kenvi, the Inven person, about how the computers at the hotel might also be different than the computers at the venue. And so it's very possible. Yeah, like different servers. So it's very possible that there's multiple pings all going on that is just making it hard to get a feel for the current server, more so than the ping is actually artificially wrong. Which, again, I have no idea if it is or isn't. Hopefully Riot follows up and we get confirmation. They're like, no, it's working correctly. If players feel this way, it's because of other reason. But we won't know until Riot says something. And I assume they will, or they should, talking about proactive communication, given that it's just going to get worse as the tournament goes on. We're day 2 of the tournament, and people are talking about it this much. Like, when the stakes get higher, they're going to keep talking.
Right. And there will be some weird it's also in some ways it is advantageous for every player to talk about how the ping is bad, because it's a great way to excuse any kind of mistake, which I'm not saying is what they're doing, but like, if there are questions about whether or not you're in like the best environment to showcase your own skills, like, and you feel like you are not, you should probably say something, because people will be wanting to know why it is that you've fucked up. Or
Danny hasn't said it yet, but the only reason he died to that Pike level 1 today was the 35 ping, so he couldn't flash the hook.
I mean, I think that's true, right? Like, if you look at the way EG plays, like, they tend to play things that are a little bit more mechanically intense and
no, that's reactions. Just a setup for a pentakill.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I will say, Mark, I do have a question about. I'm very fascinated. We'll never know. So one, I do think it's really stupid where people are like, why didn't they do this for VCS with Reykjavik? Because, as you pointed out, like, that's not reasonable. I really do think everyone should ask themselves right now, if this tournament was held in China right now, and China was in a good place, and everybody was there except for VCS, would they? And I don't know the ping between VCS and China, but I would guess that it is that they could potentially have VCS play at 35 ping. Would they? Or maybe PSG or something like that. Somebody that's relatively close but is not a major region. Do we think that they would put the whole tournament on 35 ping for VCS or PSG or somebody like that? I think that is a very reasonable question to ask too.
I mean, if you want to like go down that hole, then you kind of have to like ask what is the purpose of MSI, because like for the past couple of years, it's just a 3-horse race, sometimes 2, and so like not having one of these teams attending is just gonna ruin the whole experience. So I do not think Riot's gonna do that because it's too much effort for too little gain, really.
But
I agree with that in the sense that like so Shanghai 2020 Worlds was in China, if I'm not mistaken. So in theory, they could have done this for the VCS, but to the caller's point, you're also including 24 teams then that you're making all like the scales are just different. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like we could absolutely they should do that for the VCS because I mean like
on the other hand, by the
people
way,
that bring regions that are a bigger deal and there's like different rules, like just pretending everyone can be carte blanche. It's like life's not fair. That's a saying for a reason.
On the other hand, I think that it's weird where people like somebody in chat said no just for China. Maybe they're just trolling, but like I think they would definitely do this for T1. They would not have MSI in China without T1 attending, especially after their historic year. Like I'm sure if the situations were reversed for Korea and China, they would do this for Korea. I would be shocked.
Yeah, I know they would do it for Korea. So the whole point about like the scales thing, like VCS is not winning the tournament. If SKT was in lockdown and they were like, hey, can you do this and let us play
T1?
Yeah, they would do it. And I think like the LPL community and the players and stuff would also want to play against, like they wouldn't feel good with the tournament without LCK the same way people wouldn't feel good without RNG. So like I do think they would do it. Again, I don't know what the ping would be from Vietnam to China either. I mean, I don't know what the like each situation is going to be different depending on the size of the region, the importance to the tournament, if that region can attend or not, the viewership it brings, the ping between the region that can't compete and what it's forcing everyone else to go on to. Like all those are real factors that like you don't just say yes or no across the board to.
Yeah. I disagree. So back to the main, just to wrap up the call, Burglar. I disagree with the premise that no one's going to be happy. I think if China I think whatever region wins will feel happy. And everybody else will be like, man, the ping. But I feel like that region will be like, fuck off, guys. We're better than you. Obviously, you should have just watched our regular season. You know that we're better than you. So I don't think that like everyone is going to be unhappy universally. I think whoever wins will feel good. And then like I think, look, if EG keeps playing the way they've been playing, I don't think that we're going to win this. So I don't think NA is going to be like, well, we would have had it if it wasn't for that wily 35 ping. Like I do think that whoever loses in the finals is probably going to feel shitty about it, and we'll probably talk a lot about the ping. And I do think Riot needs to be more proactive, like in their communication, and I think they could have managed this better, which is something I've been saying for the past 11 years of me covering everything League of Legends esports. So it's not a new statement to make, but I don't know. That's kind of where my head's at. So
yeah, it's just unfortunate, like because in this case, like it kind of intersects with like xenophobia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like Twitch chat today in the MSI is just terrible.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've been seeing, but yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Well, I think the other thing is it also is going to create a situation where viewers are just like, anytime somebody makes a mistake that they could have potentially made in another environment, people are going to be like, 35 ping. Okay, Burglar, anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
I want to shout out to a streamer called, well, she's an analyst as well, Angel Archer.
Oh, yeah.
She's an analyst
yeah.
in the PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to shout her out.
Nice. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break to talk about Alienware. Alienware is my sponsor. They sponsor this show. Mark is able to do this show remotely right now because he's looking at a beautiful X17 Alienware notebook. He was really excited about potentially playing, what were you going to, Elden Ring on the plane.
Yes, sir.
But the plane itself, we're not sponsored by his flight company. I don't know which one, airline. They could not supply enough power to get that awesome X17 to push Elden Ring out for him. But I bet you can play Elden Ring in your hotel on the road pretty well, Mark.
Yes, sir, I can. And thank God I have my Alienware laptop to power me through that.
Okay, you can sound a little less sarcastic in it.
I can't. I know. It's just, it's fading.
Yeah,
10 o'clock.
Mark's starting to fall asleep. But no, legitimately, I think it is really cool that now that Mark is doing more travel for international events and hopefully doing more in general. Actually, this is funny. We've never had this situation, Mark. Normally, I am at the internet. I am traveling for the international event, and you are at home, and we're doing Hotline League.
All my coverage is brought to you by Alienware. They power me on the road.
Yes, exactly. Now Mark gets to do my shtick. I get to be in my home on my Aurora and looking at the 34-inch ultra wide and all this stuff. And Mark is in the hotel room on the Alienware setup, making sure that we could do Hotline League from that. It's just a funny little switch up. But either way, thank you so much to Alienware. You can go to alienware.com/Travis to check out their stuff. I had somebody in the chat earlier asking me about a notebook recommendation. I recommended them the X14 because they were looking for something portable that would play League and let them do some music stuff, and it's fantastic. So either way, thank you so much to Alienware for sponsoring the show, and we love them so much because they allow us to do cool stuff like this. All right, Mark is off to go grab the next caller. Thank you to Hamoud, Raisai, Crouton, Crunchy Kicks, Hung Stepbro, and Lord Audie. Thank you everybody for the subs. Really appreciate it. I might try to do this. You're trying to use the Alienware code and the apply coupon zone. So the Alienware code does not work in all of the newest products all the time, especially whenever they've been released recently. So I don't know if it'll work on the X17, unfortunately, Jim. But if you want to let them know, you can tweet at them that you're purchasing it because of me, which would be cool. Inscrutiable is here. Inscrutiable, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Nice. What do you want to talk about on the show?
My take, which I don't think is super hot but needs to be said, is the way the fans, or even fans from other leagues, are flaming the young NA players is just not acceptable. It's bad for the players themselves, bad for our region, and it really doesn't send a good message to up-and-coming players who we would want to maybe build up a fan base or interact with.
Can you give us an example of where you're seeing this?
I mean, I Will Dominate actually posted about it saying, hot take, let's not flame, 17-year-old Jojo Pyong for choking. He actually had a tweet about it, but there's a general amount of negativity towards players that aren't living up to expectations.
If you haven't seen it as well, Travis, Danny's getting flamed for accidentally procking the Zoe bubble. And people are like, can you believe he intentionally chose to do that? This was a conscious thought of his where he saw that and was like, fuck that bubble, I'm going to go in.
Yeah.
People are going really hard. I think, this is the PR machine of pushing those two players is another angle that we can talk about because I think I have another call on that. So I don't want to go too far on that. But when Dom is being the bastion of reason about not...
I mean, you said it, not me.
talking too much shit, well then it's gone too far.
Yeah, I I think Zale had a similar tweet about this. Did he? No, he didn't delete. Okay. Oh yeah, Jojo Pyun's banter is hilarious, and I'm convinced anyone getting angry about it is taking this shit way too seriously. Some of you all need to chill with the hate. Bantering memes are great, but personal attacks are just pathetic. G2 dunked on him, but I hope he doubles down. Last night I watched the game, and I tweeted, well, at least we put up a fight. And I forgot what it was like to be tweeting during Europe hours about North America at an international event, because all the replies are just very annoying. It makes me just not want to tweet at all during these hours, because you just get a bunch of people that are like, no, your team sucks. Like, it's so frustrating.
Luckily I've been casting both the games, so I couldn't really go on Twitter to tweet anything. But towards the end of the first cast, where I was intentionally being biased for NA, which was, well, for the most part, seemed to be positively received. One person was like, I can't believe Mark said it was a close game. That was clearly like copium. Like, people just are so quick to want you to just say, we suck, we got shit on, blah, blah, blah. I think in particular with Jojo, like, he's someone who runs his mouth a lot for entertainment, for fun. Maybe he like genuinely thinks this, maybe not. Who really cares? And the amount of people who are like memeing him is really hard. I think Danny has actually, at least on Reddit that I've seen, gotten it worse. Where a bunch of people are making Reddit threads just because they were excited about him like getting high rated in Korean solo queue and stuff like that, and the pentakills and all that stuff. And like the Reddit thread for their loss to G2 today was just copy pasting Danny getting Korean solo queue challenger quickly, like
I think what I'm trying to focus on more is like the personal attacks, the like, fuck you, Danny kind of stuff, the really nasty stuff that we're seeing out of fans who, maybe there's a valid, frustration there. And if you just want to vent frustration, I feel you. I get frustrated when we don't perform, but there's more positive ways to do that than literally just tearing apart our players. Because if you're doing it for the purpose of wanting them to improve, negative feedback like that isn't going to make them improve. It doesn't tell them anything or anything.
Where are you seeing it Inscrutiable? I just want to ask, like, where you're seeing stuff like "fuck you, Danny" and all
that. Mostly, it's on places that are normally toxic, like Reddit and Twitter. But those are places the players frequent, so yeah. It's obviously going to get through in the social media mass to these players. They're going to be seeing it. They're going to be affected by it.
Well, and to be fair to Inscrutiable as well, like, I know this kind of stuff gets said, like, as someone who has open DMs and checks Reddit and Twitter frequently, like, the kinds of things that you see publicly that don't get downvoted are the softest things going around, and that there's harder flame going around that you're not seeing because it's being directly tweeted at the player. It's people who are scared to say this shit publicly, so they DM it to them or whatever, like, it happens. I'm sure their DMs, if they're open, are not pretty right now. And
Jet talked about.
I'm sure this is going on. So I don't doubt.
He talked about when he was with Team Liquid, like the kind of stuff the players were seeing online when they were at an international event, and like the DMs they were getting. So this is like a known fact. I appreciate people are in Twitch chat are like, "Where is he seeing this? This is a straw man." It's not. I'm sorry, you aren't seeing it, or well, I'm glad you aren't seeing it. But the players have certainly come forward on this kind of stuff.
I mean, it's literally what we were talking about in the previous topics about like harassment and stuff. Like, oh, well, I haven't seen it, so it must not be happening. It's like, yeah, no one gives a fuck who you are, guy, not seeing it, because you're not a pro player. The pro players are the ones who get it in their DMs. You don't. It was the homophobia conversation we were having earlier. Like, of course you're not going to see it, guy. It's the other people.
Yeah. I think it's it's disappointing, and it's just the funny thing is, like, EU fans should want North American players to do well, because then we're less likely to come take your star players from you. It is to your benefit if we're doing well.
I like that angle. I hadn't thought about that angle. That's a good one. NA players need to do good to protect the European players. The other thing I was going to say, too, is they are very young and they are rookies. And sometimes players can go as rookies and do well on the international stage, and sometimes they don't, and that's okay. Perks was not phenomenal in his first, I believe it was his first MSI in his first Worlds. The G2 and 8 and the G2 vacation memes and all those, I believe were when he was a rookie. And he only ended up becoming one of the greatest Western players of all time by the kind of shit that he took his first year. So it's not like a death knell on the players. I think memes are fine. Like the Danny copy pasta that I'm talking about is not even like particularly egregious. I wasn't saying like he's getting like that as hate, but I just know that there's a lot of, I've seen a lot of memes around him, so I have to assume there's a lot of shit talk too. But yeah, I think it's something that people should get called out on, to just tone it down sometimes.
I guess my ask, because I don't want to present a problem without a solution, is if you really want to see these players succeed, be positive towards them. Like, support the fact that they're at these tournaments, support the fact that they're trying, support the fact that they're spending countless hours going through a alternate language solo queue to practice in the environment, playing on a different ping than they normally do. Like, these are all reasons why they might not be performing as much as you'd like. And if you want to see them improve, if you want to cultivate the talent, you want people to not be like, wow, why would I ever be a pro for this sport where I get flamed all the time and called nasty names and DMs all the time? Maybe you should be positive to people. I guess it's like the whole be good comment.
So,
Yeah.
Interestingly enough as well, North America has to play a top 3 team in the tournament more than most of the other regions do. Like, we just have to run our heads into G2 a bunch of times, whereas a team like, I mean, you get Istanbul Wildcats and Red Canids, like, it's we got a tough group here. Got to play G2 4 times. G2's an incredible team. Copium.
Copium indeed. Okay, like, hang on. Let me see if I could pull up this meme that our good friend Azale tweeted a second ago, because I think it's relevant to this conversation. I'll put it on screen. I'm sorry, podcast listeners, you don't get to enjoy this, but yeah, I think it sums it up pretty well.
Well, I can't see it. It's on.
What, Mark?
Where is it? Oh, there it is.
Inscrutiable, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we say goodbye?
Shout out you guys. Appreciate what you're doing for the industry, and making sure that we have this kind of content is really important to me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll catch you next time. All right. On to the next caller. Right, Mark? On to the next caller.
I guess.
Thank you so much to, I think, Lord Audie, I already shouted you out. But thank you to anybody who's going to sub during this break, because that's quite nice of you to do that. Let's see. Looking at Twitch chat right now to see everybody's hot takes to all this information.
Continuing the conversation, Travis.
What?
Huh?
Brakthir is here. Brakthir, where are you calling from?
Hey, calling from the suburbs of Chicago.
Chicago suburbs. Nice. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So this nicely leads into, from the previous conversation, my topic was that if Danny and Jojo, to a lesser degree, continue to do poorly at MSI, the narrative and hype train that Riot and the production team have built around him and Jojo will do a lot more harm than good. And I do hope that both of those players have a tough enough skin and good support on their teams to weather through that.
So, sorry, are you suggesting that, like, the NA, like, folks should not be hyping Jojo and Danny?
Oh, I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm saying it's a double-edged sword, right? A Riot obviously wants to focus on their new players and build them up, maintain interest in the league. I am just saying in this case, through no fault of his own, Danny just got a freaking Penta and a Baron steal and they won the game, right? And Jojo's been doing pretty well. Jojo's been doing banter, but Danny's been quiet. Through no fault of his own, because of the right narrative being pushed, it could lead to a lot of memes, harsh criticism, and flaming if they do poorly. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right. I think it's important to try and build these players up. I think there's a question of maybe it was a little one note in terms of the NA talent hype. Um, who can say exactly? But I do agree that the amount that you push something, the more it will get resisted if it doesn't hold up, I guess. While Jojo and Danny are good, objectively good players in North America and do well right there, if they get hyped up, it's like the same that happened with Bjergsen. You know, like Bjergsen's top 10 player in the West. Bjergsen's the GOAT, Western player of all time. Like that was a real narrative in 2015. And when TSM bombed out of Worlds a couple times in a row, people backlashed hard against that narrative.
Same with Doublelift. Like, yeah. How many Superman theme music Doublelift videos were there? You know, the hope of NA, etc., and all of that happened then.
Yeah. So I do agree. I also wonder again about it being like one note, if that kind of can contribute to it, because other people on EG do exist. The best player for EG this tournament has been Impact by a country mile, I'd say. Like, it's not even fucking close. And, you know, you go into the post-game thread, there's a little bit of hype for him. But, like, I think people, like, maybe they didn't watch the playoffs, so they didn't listen to, like, actual analysis heading into the tournament. But everyone was talking about EG's bot lane being weak in the early portions of the game. And, like, sure enough, they've been getting killed by Flacket and Targamas. And then people are, like, memeing them. And it's like, everyone said this was going to happen. Like, this is 100% expected. But I think the hype to the broader audience overtook the narrative. Or
and
overtook the analysis.
There was a lot of analysts also speaking to, you know, the bot lane got smashed in playoffs, but the rest of the map was playing so well that Danny managed to get a chance to get back on his feet. And they're saying, you know, this would not happen against better international teams who would punish bot lane consistently and prevent Danny from, you know, getting juiced up in later team fights. That also, you know, kind of went under the radar a lot. I also do think that Riot can do better by, as you said, not focusing simply on Danny and Jojo. I do know that they want to get the new talent and a fresh talent meme going, or not meme, but narrative going. But I mean, you got freaking, you know, Impact and Inspired. Like they're kicking ass. They can go with the old veterans, you know, shepherding the young talent into truly shining kind of narrative as well. And they've mentioned it here and there, but the majority of the focus are on those two players right now.
You know, I actually, I've been spending this whole time thinking through this, I actually think I just disagree. Like, I don't think that, I don't think anybody was really hyping. I'm sure people can find, like, a random one-off tweet or whatever, but generally speaking, I don't think anyone was like, Danny and Jojo are going to now go crush all the players in MSI. Like, I think everyone kind of knew. Even Danny in his victory speech, like his victory interview, like Jojo was like, yeah, we're going to go crush G2. And like, I think everybody knew that was Jojo having fun. And then Danny's like, I'm just going there to learn and try to get better. Like, he was kind of the counterpoint to the Jojo stuff. And I don't even feel like I saw any of like particularly I don't feel like Riot released very much MSI hype content, but I don't feel like in the content that they did do, they weren't like that they were really like the kings of North America or anything like that. Like, and all the analysts and folks were not on Hotline League, not on, I would be shocked if on any of these other shows people were really saying like these guys are coming to take heads. So I just don't particularly agree with the idea that they were like overhyped or expectations were set too high or whatever. I mean, I can kind of agree with Mark on it was a lot of celebration of Jojo and Danny after EG lifted the trophy, but like, I think the things there are like, Impact has done this a bunch of times. Like, there's less things to say about Impact lifting the trophy, and like with Inspired, you know, I'm just gonna say what I've been saying lately, which is like, I think it's probably more important for Riot to try to lean more into building up North American talent who do well, because is Inspired going to be playing in North America next year? I don't know, but like, Perks was one and went to MSI last year, and he's not here this year, so I feel like you're just way less likely to have a import player stay over here if for any number of different reasons, quite frankly. If they do well, if they do bad, et cetera, et cetera. So, I don't know. I just
I think you probably don't actually watch Riot content. No offense, but like
what
I
was
just
JLXP like? Oh shit, Danny and Jojo are gonna go take.
you know
heads.
JLXP is not Riot content, right?
It doesn't feel like that.
I don't think you know what Riot content is.
Okay,
Anymore.
tell me what Riot content is, Mark.
The
and
thing
where
I
this is
linked
being
in
hyped.
Twitch chat. They had like a meet the teams for each one, and it's just like freaks saying that they're going to win MSI. That Jojo, Pune, and Danny are
that's
winning.
like freak doing freak things. Like
Yeah, but this is they put this
do you
on
think
Twitter.
people
They put it
take
on
that
YouTube,
seriously?
No, but this is what's getting jammed in their face. That is what like the Euphoria clips don't go on the main broadcast. Realistically, they put in hype pieces of sound bites of that. If you watch the pre-show teasers or like the in between bumps and stuff, it's a lot of stuff like that. And that's my point. Potentially that like yes, the analysis is more tempered. I think a lot of us have been tempered, but I think if you're a casual fan who's not watching that stuff and you just follow the LoL Esports Twitter and maybe you just follow like you just turn on the page and you see like a YouTube video like that from Freak, you know, like I can see how some portion of the fan base, the actual analysis doesn't penetrate and you just get like that kind of video. And that's not the only one. I mean, that was just the first thing I grabbed off the LoL Esports page about like content around EG, but most of the content around EG. No, like.
Well, are you guys doing this on the dive?
What?
Do you guys hype them up on the dive a ton?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like the dive doesn't run on the broadcast, dude. Like the actual the actual broadcast doesn't have the dive and things like that. You know, like when the show opens, you're given like a little like hype teaser. You know, it's like some sound bites and some like random stuff like that. Or like the content team is pushing stuff like this. Like the features team and whatnot, like that kind of stuff, tends to go for like the punchier sound bites than like the real analysis. And no one's going to be like, Danny has really good team fighting, but might get slaughtered in lane. Tune in to see. You know, like
that's
not
they should like.
I don't know.
It's just kind of my point is like if they're I guess I need to go look at specifically the content that you're referencing. Like I know what the Freak one was. I saw the Freak one, but like to somebody's point in chat, like. They're doing that about DFM too. Like I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, but DSM doesn't have a regional rivalry with any Western speaking things. Like if you're a European fan and like you just see a bunch of these videos and then they get slammed twice in a row, you're like, nice NA talent, you fucking idiots. Like you're some random European person watching this. Like that's probably your reaction.
I guess. Do you think we have a rivalry with EU anymore? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. But
We have
my
a
point is like
rivalry. That's about it.
There's always this question of like, what is the average LoL esports fan? You know, like we all always assume it's the people who watch our content, and realistically, it's not.
I never.
You know, it's
that,
like,
but
yeah. Like I saw a stat once. It's like 5% or 10% of like league esports viewers go on Reddit. You know, it's like the hardcore of the most hardcore.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely agree that Reddit and I've made this argument before too, is that Reddit and our audience and all that stuff are not the average LoL esports fan. I don't know. I guess I need to go look at a bunch of these random little hype clips and stuff that you're talking about, because from the ones that I have seen, I don't necessarily ever feel like they're like Danny and Jojo are here to like kill everybody, you know. But again, maybe I've missed some of these because
I mean, I think
break stuff.
I think like the Jojo Pune saying we're gonna shit on EU as a funny soundbite in North America, then gets like clipped out of context. He basically gets clip chimped, you know.
Yeah.
and like if you're like I've been clip chimped, not me, like well I have been clip chimped, but I also have fallen for clip chimps and be like, wow, this guy's such an idiot. And then you watch 10 seconds later, and Danny's like, well, we just want to learn, really. But they cut that part out, and you just have Jojo being like, we're going to shit on EU. And then, like, that's all you see. And it's not even probably just EU fans. I mean, like, NA fans, if you weren't, again, if you just see that, you're like, oh, shit, my team's going to be good this year? And then they get slammed. You're like, why the fuck did I believe in these idiots? You know, like, It's not just EU fans who might get debated by like overhype potentially.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Brakthir, for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to the next caller?
Shout out to Alienware, Grubhub, who I am ordering dinner from tonight thanks to your code.
Thank you.
I also just wanted to say that I do want more personalities like Jojo. I mean, I fucking love the banner, right? Like Shades of Double Lift. Fudge is another one who's just constantly banging out awesome quotes. So I really hope this doesn't stop him from saying those things. He was a lot more subdued today in his interview that I saw than I feel like he normally would be. But yeah, I just hope him and Danny, kind of avoid the cesspools of the internet.
Yeah, I hopefully they are, but I don't know. I say this every international event. I just worry more and more that North America players are like. So I haven't put out any interviews yet. Hopefully I'll get some tonight and I can put some out tomorrow. But like, I just really wonder if North American players are watching this. Like, I know that there are some that are in this chat. Like, whenever I make a statement like this, there's always like 10 people that are like, no, I'm watching it. I'm staying up all night. But I wonder if a decent amount of people are, because I feel like NA fans have started to just tune out of international events because they're always at a terrible time and it's never good results. And so I don't know. I just think about that stuff a lot where I'm like, I feel like what ends up happening is we send EG over, Jojo's like, I'm going to shit out of you. And then there's only European people watching as he loses. And it just becomes him failing in front of an entire audience of people that want to see him lose. And then, like, that's it. And so, I don't know. I think I worry that the combination of NA poor performance internationally and literally always having shitty viewership slots is just making this stuff really weird. Worlds this year will be fascinating.
It's just the hopium.
It's definitely a bit of a chicken or the egg. Like, man, NA esports doesn't get a ton of viewership. Let's move the time zones away from NA time zones. And it's like, man, NA viewership is not doing as well. What?
Yeah.
No, none of them are tuning in. I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
I also wanted to give a shout out to Medic because he's been asking for one in chat.
He's trying because he subbed, so I have to shout him out in the break. But thank you so much, Brakthir.
Yeah. No problem. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah. It's not enough. It's not enough for Medic to see G2 beat NA. He has to show up in the chat and just be like, "Give me attention." Medic, thank you for the 12 months. His sub message was "fuck you, Travis."
Shameless.
Which feels a little unnecessary. Big Angry Hobo, thank you for the sub. There he goes. He gets the attention he wants. Medic says, yeah, well, I'm not going to repeat that because I don't want him to get in trouble. But I mean, it's especially in this group stage for MSI. I haven't watched all the games, and it's hard to make me want to. I mean, I think when Rumble occurs, I will hyper mess up my sleep schedule, but it's tough. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dude Upstairs, for the 2 years. Thank you for the sub. It's very nice of you. No, you're good, Medic. I'm just making jokes.
I'm sorry we haven't had a gameplay specific call yet. It's because one of the people I pulled had a meeting between 1 and 1:30. So we're gonna have a non-gameplay related call again. I pulled this person relatively early, but it's been not my fault.
Yep.
Anyways,
thank you, Timmy, for showing up. Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from just outside Nashville.
Just outside Nashville. Have you called in before?
I called in about 2 weeks ago.
Gotcha. Did you have a different name?
No, it was still Timmychanga.
Okay. Well,
It was the
at least I remembered the outside Nashville. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, so my take is a little bit lighter than the previous ones. It's on the new League of Legends Paramount TV show that they're releasing.
Oh,
and I think this is going to be a huge disappointment unless they fire all of the players halfway through the TV show and try to invest completely in new actors. And they really just got to keep it realistic if we're going to, be able to enjoy this.
Is this a joke about turnover in North America?
No. I think
I
it
knew
should
you'd
be
like it, Travis.
It's also criminal that they're not calling it Trust the System.
Okay. It's a good joke. But jokes aside, what did you think of the? I forgot that when Mark and I were naming off all the stuff, we forgot about the players trailer. What did you think of the trailer, Timmychanga?
I thought it was. Of course, I recognize all of the new, all of the actors and all of the specific talent, and so it's a little bit hard for me to get into the realism of the show. But I am going to watch it. Of course, I have subscribed to Paramount Plus specifically so that I can watch this. And I'm excited to see what they end up doing with it. I'm really hoping it attracts new people to the LCS, and I'm just excited about content around that promotes people watching NALCS.
So I think.
Are you familiar with the? Sorry, are you familiar with the concept, like what American Vandal is?
Me?
Yeah.
I am not.
Okay, so it's like a mockumentary about sports documentary. Like it's like a satire on what sports documentaries do.
Okay. Well, I do watch other sports documentaries. So there is the Drive to Survive F1 TV show from Netflix, which I've really enjoyed. And actually, interestingly enough, has brought a lot of notoriety to the sport and has actually caused them to be able to sell more tickets. Obviously, there was just a big race weekend in Miami that everybody was watching. And so I'm really hoping that it does kind of drive viewership forward. I mean, it's kind of, I'm not going to say a proven model with it being a mockumentary, but the documentary style has kind of proven that you can up revenue by doing big media plays like this with known companies such as Paramount or Netflix.
So it won't have the exact same effect because it's not necessarily trying to get you hyped to watch LCS. It's more making fun of pro gaming as well as making fun of sports documentaries.
Sure.
Mark and I need to disclose right now that both he and I have done some stuff for them. I don't know if either of us will be on the show or not, but we have received financial compensation from.
They paid me fat stacks to say not to say that, but to say other things on camera for them.
Yeah. We haven't gotten paid to promote the show. We've just gotten paid to potentially make appearances. I don't know if we'll be in it or not, but. I assume Mark will. Mine, I don't know if I'll make the cut. Let's put it that way. So here's some stuff. I think I talked about this a little bit before, and I did an interview with Greeley last year. People can go look to get more context. These guys have been embedded in the LCS for years now. I think I first met them in 2019 with Broden, where we were in a box at, maybe it was St. Louis, I think. And we met the folks that were making the show and we talked a lot to them, and they were really nice folks and really interested in actually learning the ins and outs. And they've had folks that have lived and breathed esports at Riot consult on this. And so I think everything should, the funny thing I've seen is some people saying, I'm worried that this will just lean into the stereotypes of pro gaming. I would say that is the more accurate way of putting it is it will actually portray pro gaming the way esports
that it is.
Yes. It is going to feel like you are watching Breaking Point, I think. In a lot of ways, now, and so you can have an argument on whether or not that is good or not. I think that what they are going to do is create something that feels very authentic, rather than something that glorifies it. So then, rather than Drive to Survive, which I haven't seen, but I feel probably really glorifies the sport, I think this is not going to feel like that. And you can argue if that's
Well-
good or bad, but I just like it's kind of cool that they are doing something that will feel hyper authentic to all of us that have lived and breathed this
yeah,
life for so long.
That's been my general reaction to the negative response thus far. Like, you can argue maybe it's not good for the scene in some ways, or you can argue that it's not going to be a good show, maybe. But like, some people have been like, cream cheese, really? That's so cringe. I can't believe that's a real name that they think a gamer would take. And it's like, bruh, you have licorice and fudge, and like, there's so many food names currently, and like, there's PP God, Little Fat GG, which if you don't know
big,
what GG
big fat
means,
GG Sneak. Nobody should look up what Sneaky's original name was.
yeah, balls. Like,
yeah.
the names are dumb. The reason they picked that name actually was like, that's too dumb. Like, I talked to the writers about this, and they're like, yeah, we initially thought that was too dumb, and then we looked at the names in your league, and we're like, wait, that's actually just what the fuck. You're like, you guys are just idiots. And like, and everyone who's like, this is gonna make esports look bad, and it's like, maybe that's because esports does look bad. Have you ever like looked in the mirror, esports industry? Like, it's a lot of stuff where I'm like, this is all almost everything that's going to happen in the show, I'm pretty sure is somewhat based off of like something that actually happened at some point in the scene. And it's covering a broad history going back to 2015 when things were not exactly as professional as they are now, and they're not exactly the most professional still.
Yeah, I do love not to throw you under the bus, Mark, but like this idea too that like, because a lot of people are like, this is what it was like in 2015 and 2016. I'm like, it's kind of the way it is these days, you know? Like, there's so much. I mean,
Yeah,
like relationship drama where like people date other people's ex-girlfriends still, and there's so much like stupid stuff and really oddball characters in our league, and like there's just it is so like we live we've just been in it for so long, and it means so much to us that we do forget how goofy this can be. And so I do agree with Mark where it's like, this is kind of like looking in the mirror, and like if we don't like what we see, I think we should probably start having conversations about like maybe we should start having players go by their regular names instead of really goofy names. You know, I think it's fine that we do the goofy names, but like it's like if you don't like a player being called cream cheese, like then you should feel upset about a lot of the other names that exist in the league right now.
right. And like, if you think they're perpetuating like the gross gamer stereotype, it's like, well, maybe gamers should generally, like, there are hip cool gamers, don't get me wrong, like 100 Thieves has done a lot to push the brand of their team to be cooler, but a lot of teams don't have that, and they're kind of nerdy. Like, even within esports, dude, people don't realize this, even within esports, league players are considered nerds. Like, fighting game players consider us nerds. Valorant players consider us. Like, if you go to a Valorant match or a CSGO match or a fighting game match, those people are popping off. They're screaming at each other. They're being sociable. And then, you know, a lot of league players are very reserved and just want to play their games, and they're kind of nerdy. And it's like, it's kind of like even to other people. Yeah, everyone, like, Jojo is like what the average pro is in other sports. And here we're like, oh my God, he's so outspoken.
There are a decent amount of times where I have interviewed somebody and I wish they used deodorant. I will just put that out there.
So are you guys saying that the show is more for casual league players who are already invested in esports, or are you saying are they trying to bring in any new people with it?
I think
This
they
is
want to do
supposed to
both.
be-
I think what they wanted to do was create something that felt really authentic. We've all watched stuff that feels like very inauthentic and very goofy. And I think that they didn't want a bunch of esports people to say, like, this is not real. Again, maybe we won't like certain athletes be like, oh, man, like, this is how the mainstream's going to see us. But I don't think that people, again, I haven't watched the whole show. But from what I can tell, I don't expect there's going to be too many things in there where we just say to ourselves, well, this could never happen in esports. And I think the other thing is, but I do think that they're also going to try to, like, play up funny moments and have funny one-liners and have a lot of goofy stuff so that like you can watch it with people who don't watch this stuff. The other thing I should mention is like It has been something I've realized more recently, but there's a lot of Asian dramas that are like esports, about
Oh
esports
yeah.
stuff. I can't remember all the names of them now, but like this is not unheard of. Like there's a lot of stuff that is like this. Like what was it? Somebody I know was watching a drama, like a Chinese drama, about esports, and like Fnatic was even in it. Like Fnatic the brand and stuff. Like there's a lot of different stuff out there. So we will see. I mean, I think there's decent questions about, well, this is going to be on Paramount Plus. What's that look like? And I don't know, but yeah, we'll see.
I mean, Star Trek is on there, so that's why I had it originally, and then I actually re-upped just so that I could watch this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Star Trek is like the only reason people have Paramount Plus right now. So
Yeah,
Well,
true.
so the other thing I'll say too is, at least for American Vandal, like they were satiring or like parodying true crime, and they like understanding the form of what they're mocking was just as important as the content itself. So like, if you watch true crime documentaries, you understood the beats that they were hitting, and so if you've watched sports documentaries, again, I assume you're going to understand a lot of the jokes, even if you don't follow esports, because like American Vandal was about some kid who had graffitied cars, and they were like treating it like he murdered someone, and they were like recreating the scene the same way, and it was very crass humor, that because it was about high schoolers, but it's just supposed to parody the super serious, ultra grisly nature that true crime goes for and stuff. So I assume it will be a similar thing here, where, oh yeah, sports documentaries are super serious, but then it's about a guy named Cream Cheese, and like someone has a piss jar and stuff. You know, like it's supposed to be a little absurd.
yeah.
Yep.
King's Avatar, I think, might be the one. I think there's a lot. Apparently it's both an anime and a drama, but the one I saw was live action.
Have you seen No Game No Life, Travis?
No.
You probably really like it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Timmychanga, for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to a quick break?
So I want to shout out, of course, I kind of missed the talks with Mark at the beginning of every TV show, asking about what he's watched for the week, because sometimes I will base my watch list off of that. So if you could bring that back, I'd absolutely love it. And
Mark,
of course,
what have you been
Alienware
watching on your trip?
We should do 15 minutes at the start of like the first Hotline League when I'm back, and I'll just trauma dump all the horrible things I've watched on planes.
Okay. I mean, I assume you're not I assume you're watching something you sit in your hotel room. I assume you're just watching a ton of stuff in there.
Well, it's mostly actually YouTube. I don't really watch TV or movies if Ashley's not around. The plane is the one exception because I can't get YouTube. But otherwise, I'm like smashing through VFX artist reacts and like science videos stuff.
Wow.
even channels. I do watch a lot of YouTube, so stuff like that is
Or look up
enjoyable too.
VFX. Look up VFX artists react, and whatever YouTube channel that's on is like a gold mine of good shit.
By the way,
Nice.
Mark, my attempts to get Ashley to go on a walk and be your surrogate while
She laughed that you even suggested it, and I tried to warn you, dude. I said like, when I go on walks with her, she doesn't even let me talk to her because she puts on a headset, and listens to a book. You think she's gonna want to go on a walk with you?
Yeah, I just need somebody to go on a walk with. All right, thank you, Timmychanga, for the call. Thank you so much for bringing up the player stuff because we totally forgot about it, and we'll catch you next time.
Catch you next time. Thanks.
Have a good one. All right. So it is time to talk about Grubhub. So I know you guys missed the Grubhub code last week. Good news, I have a code for you. In fact, I have two. So one, if you have never used Grubhub, we have a new code that is always on. So it's called New Travis, NEWTRAVIS. And it's $10 off your first delivery with Grubhub, and it's always on. So if you have never had Grubhub before, go use New Travis, save $10 off your first delivery. Tell other people in your life that have not used Grubhub before. Maybe you have a partner or a friend or a roommate or a sibling, and you guys want to order some food. Maybe you have a Grubhub account, but they don't. Have them make one and use code NEWTRAVIS. NEWTRAVIS. And then this week we have code Travis10, TEN, not the number, the word, Travis 10. From May 9th to May 15th, you can use this to receive $10 off your Grubhub order of $20 plus. This is only for the first 500 orders. So make sure that you guys use this. But we've extended out the days. They now run longer, which is cool that Grubhub did this. So May 9th to May 15th, Travis 10 save $10 off your order on Grubhub of $20 plus. And thanks for using this, you guys, because when you do, it actually is helpful for us because they do track that stuff, and so they know, if a ton of you guys are using the code, it's quite nice. Yes, Kanoke in chat helped do it. So thank you so much, Grubhub, for sponsoring the show. And yeah, unfortunately, the codes do not work in Canada because they have a Canadian company there called Skip the Dishes, but the codes do not work on Skip the Dishes. All right. Timing out Mark again in the chat. Mark, you want to go grab the next caller?
What the hell, dude? Why?
Okay, Mark is off to grab the next caller. Thank you to Boater Michael for 40 months. Escar Goat, Escape Goat, thank you for the 8 months as well. Thanks everybody for the subs. What's the Grubhub code again? It is Travis10. We put them in the chat. Oh, well, the one that folks haven't, if you haven't used Grubhub before, use new Travis. If you are, if this is a time where you've used it previously, use Travis10. All right. That's unfortunately not it, Refect. Okay. Mark does not have a code. Mark does not have a code. Okay. Where are we? Waiting on Mark Zimmerman. He should be back here in just a moment. Thank you to everybody for using those codes.
Okay.
All right. Izzdaer is here. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you called him? You have called him previously.
Yeah.
Remind
Only
me
when you do it early.
Remind me where you're calling from again.
London, England.
Oh man, so many UK people. What do you want to talk about on the show?
It's because you're early. So my take was that RNG will drop both of their games when they meet G2 and T1 due to their first 15 minutes of the game. Just mostly because of their early game problems, and if Way picks Volibear, they just won't be able to advance to what I think is going to be a T1 G2 final.
Okay, so you're calling a T1 G2 final because RNG is going to drop games, and that's how this is going to work. So, Mark.
What?
Well, actually, Izzdaer, why don't you expand a little bit? What do you think about the first 15 minutes? I just want to make sure that we got...
Yeah. So, specifically, especially if you reference into today's game against PSG Talon, where they just were really scrappy. Yes, they took the game towards the end of it, but also if you look back on the history of them throughout the split that we just played in the LPL, they're just having early game problems that I think G2 and T1 will be able to exploit better than any of the teams in their group. And also they have a really weird priority on Volibear at the moment that has to get ahead early, but it's their weakest part of the game, and so he totally falls off and just becomes a liability to him. We saw Way play better on Viego, but that was against Istanbul Wildcats, which obviously wasn't really a challenge for them.
Mark?
So, I think this is a hot take. Maybe people are warming up to it, but I'm kind of getting sold on it. I think for the most part, RNG are fine. I'm not worried about them. I think even if they, you said drop games, I think in the Rumble stage coming up, they can also take games off SKT and G2. I don't think it's like they're clearly a class below,
T1.
but I think in a best of 5, or excuse me, T1. God damn it, dude! I'm gonna get.
Well, I used to correct you, and now I feel like you started doing it for a while just to annoy me, and now you've cursed yourself.
I pretty much. I'm just bad also with remembering things in my head once I learn them.
Yeah.
So they do have a bit of a sussy early game at points. People have been talking about Way, and it's still kind of going on. Part of it, I think, his natural inclination to int, let's call it, is probably exacerbated when you're playing a team that you don't respect a little bit. So I think the games when he has his happy moments will be more frequent here than against these other teams. But I think it's also fair to say these other teams will punish you harder and actually like get a lead on you and then ram it down your throat. And that's not something that's going to happen by anyone else in the group. So RNG, I think SKT are the favorites. RNG versus G2 is a very interesting matchup. We haven't seen a ton out of G2. You know, they were not super good in their win versus Order, to be fair. Order was solo killing them. Order was kind of coming back and kind of leading that game a little bit until they threw up Baron. They absolutely stomped us game 1, and then game 2 they threw and then came back, but it wasn't necessarily super clean either. So I don't think G2 is immune to this kind of concern that you're expressing. It's a different kind of concern, I think, but they have their own to worry about. I think T1 is what we've seen so far, at least, just so fucking good. Like, they came in as tournament favorites, and they have done everything needed to solidify that fact when they are taking, like, 18-minute inhibitors and shit. Like, they're terrifying.
I just think with an LPL team, it's going to be really difficult to know. Like, I think you can draw some conclusions from group stage. Like, okay, T1 is, like, really good, like Mark just said. Or SKT, as he would say. But also, I feel like with RNG, I really want to see what they look like in Rumble before I make any really concrete decisions. I mean, if they were in here just like losing games and looking really bad, then it would be a sign for concern. But if it's just a situation, like if a team just looks sloppy in group stage, maybe that's the best way to put it. Like, I don't, especially if it's like a top 3
an
region
LPL
or something.
team.
Yeah, an LPL team, but even, I mean, I guess I would never expect T1 to look sloppy, but like, I think G2 can look a lot better probably when we get to groups even, and maybe even EG. I feel like EG will learn a lot, although maybe that's just copium. But I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a Hotline League take, Izzdaer, and I like this because I guess maybe we'll see this come true and you'll look like a god, but I do feel like it's really hard to like draw really concrete conclusions from teams looking sloppy in group stage, especially with all the ping stuff and players getting used to that and blah blah blah. You know?
Yeah, I think the ping thing is a good thing to call out as well for like a team like G2. Technically, they probably have the hardest competition, at least if you look at historical strength of regions. Like, I know people love to meme NA, but of the pool team 2s, you know, G2 technically has harder competition, most likely. So, you know, maybe G2 is actually better than they look. I mean, OPL had a decent Worlds, if I remember correctly, and then OK MSI last year. I think OPL has actually kind of been on the rise for emerging recently too, unless I'm misremembering.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. I mean, with the new format and stuff, it's like things are a little weird than they were historically, but yeah, I
think this matchup specific as well, though, right? Because if you look at their matchup against G2 specifically, I think SKT is just going to win just on strength. But the matchup RNG into G2, I think if you look at today's game, they only really won because Xiaohu was really so able to assert dominance over Bay, whereas their jungle and bot lane, even against such a what we could say is a lower caliber team, they really struggled. And Bin managed to get back into a game through a farm lead against Azhi that he's realistically not going to make against Broken Blade, in my opinion. So they were just given doors open that in the specific matchup against G2, I think they're going to struggle with.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, but I do appreciate.
I think it's.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
One final take. It's fair, but Broken Blade, as great as he had moments against EG today to win them the game, he's also struggled at points in time. And Bin is a pretty aggressive top laner who's willing to throw down the gauntlet. And I think that is one area that Broken Blade has not been bad yet, but he's had these moments that kind of make you side-eye him and go, is this going to be a problem going forward, or are you going to shape up? Because that he's probably one of the areas I would be concerned about against an RNG is him versus Bin.
I mean, the other thing is
definitely going to make it or break it.
The other thing is we haven't seen RNG play against EG yet, and Jojo and Danny are huge stars that are capable of taking games entirely by themselves if you aren't paying attention, you know? So, like, I definitely think that them representing North American talent, they're just like the two best players probably at this tournament. So, Izzdaer, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Just shout out to you guys. Keep doing it at this earlier time. Mark, keep going away on holiday. It's great for us. Thank you very much.
He's not on holiday. He's working the event. Well, I guess he
counts.
did holiday last
It counts.
month. Yeah. It counts. Yeah. Mark, don't you just feel like you're on vacation right now with everything that you're
Dude,
doing?
I feel so well rested staying up till 1 a.m. to talk to Ashley when she's off work and then like get up for 7 a.m. for casting. Yeah, I feel great.
Oh, boy. All right. Anyway, Izzdaer, thank you for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Yep.
All right. Off Mark goes to get the next caller. Thank you to C9 Blasphemy for the 16 months. Let's see. What else, folks? I'll probably stick around on stream for a little bit and play a little bit of Genshin. Did someone just say something positive about an NA player? I better make some death threats to those players. Then, yeah. pfwangers. pfwangers is here. Where are you calling from?
Calling from the Bay Area.
All right, and you've been on before, right?
Yeah, I called once about EG beating TL, but that didn't happen
Yep.
in the first round.
Yes, exactly. You were just yeah. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, my take is that I think Riot should start forcing coaches to do a post-game press conference after each game like they do in traditional sports, so we can get more insight into some of the decisions that went into game planning. And I guess somewhat like protect the players from unnecessary flack, as well as like opening up the league to more spicy moments. Like in the NBA, there was a lot of drama with the 76ers when the coach Doc Rivers called out one of his players, and that player just ended up not playing for like the entire season. So I think, yeah, it just opens up more visibility and potentially more content for a league overall.
People in the chat say no, question mark, they would reveal strategies, question mark. Guys, people do post-game interviews. My whole channel is born out of post-game interviews. I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's an interesting idea. One, I don't think that it would necessarily need to be after every game, but I do think it could be like at the end of their day, because like you have days where some of these teams play multiple times, and so I don't think you need to do it after everyone, but if you do it at the end of every day, that could be cool. I think that would also help take some of the burden off of the players and also give something interesting for media to cover. They already kind of do this a little bit. Well, no, they don't really do anything like this. The only thing that they kind of do that's kind of close to it is that every team has to do like a scrum, which is just a fancy way of saying press conference at each stage. So like in group stage, EG will do at some point in time a scrum with I think one or two of their players. But those are players rather than coaches. So I don't know. I think this is it's an interesting idea. It's funny that I've never really thought about something like this, but I think that could be pretty interesting for it. It's hard to think of too many downsides. It would also give the coaches something interesting. And I think it would also give us, we talk frequently about how it's really hard to gauge coaches. And while this is obviously not something that would suddenly be like, okay, now we know, because there's certainly a lot of coaches that can interview better than they can do, whatever. But I could see a huge variance in the way that coaches answer stuff. Like Jojo, for instance, I could see being really forthcoming and transparent and interesting in these, and then I can see other coaches that would just sort of not, and so you start to build up personalities around the teams as well. So I like this a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the coaches who suck for interviews become so bad at interviews they become good again, like Bill Belichick and Greg Popovich and people who just like to shit on the media. And then there's like the people who want to be like that and shit on the media, but they're bad at it, and then it's like they look bad. Like I don't know, it's just another clown in the circus of LoL esports that I think we should definitely try and tap into a little bit more.
Great analogy, Mark.
I'm just saying, like, it would be nice to be like, hey, EG, how's Danny holding up after like a rough start to the tournament? Like even just stuff like that.
Yeah,
could be nice.
No, I think it's
to
good.
Get a quick soundbite.
I think it's good. I will suggest this for future stuff. because I think it's good. Also, coaches are not usually requested a ton. I don't know. I think this could be good. I like this a lot. I don't have too much more to say about it other than I like it, pfwangers. I'm sure that teams and coaches and Riot will push back on this idea, so it'll never happen. But it's one of those ideas that I think is great, and so I really appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, I think especially in like traditional sports, you see coaches becoming a big part of the teams. So it also like gives coaches a chance to ingratiate themselves more within the community. But yeah, I don't really have much to add to that.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. Thank you, pfwangers. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to our last caller?
Shout out Grubhub, shout out Ovly, shout out Fastfee, shout out Resin Refresh, and shout out you guys. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks so much for calling in. We'll catch you next time.
All right, bye.
I feel bad for pfwangers because he had a meeting from 1:30 from 1 to 1:30 and then at 2 again. So
oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we got him out quick then.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have said that, and then I would have rushed even faster. I do appreciate.
I didn't have so much to add. I thought you did a good job, so I was like, all right, cool.
POV, you're sitting in Mark's lap. That's what this is. That's what this angle is for you. I realize.
I've just gotten like lower and higher, and I think this is the lowest I've gotten. But
yeah.
It could.
Oh, I've definitely seen you lower before. Yeah. Now tilt it a little bit more so that we could. Yeah. Thank you. This is perfect. Okay. Well, you want to go grab our last caller?
Sure.
Zavilka, I saw that. Okay. Epi H, thank you for the prime. Really appreciate it. We've got our last caller coming up here in just a second. POV, you're sitting in Mark Z's lap. Okay.
Is this working?
Yeah. This is perfect.
Mike?
Mike,
no,
where
I'm
you
saying
calling from?
Mike's not working. That's what I was asking.
Oh. Mike, hello? Are you here?
Mike.
Are they messaging you?
I don't know.
Look at your Discord.
Your
maybe.
mic isn't working.
Mike 13.
Mike 13's microphone is not working.
Do you want to just share their take while they are
I need to go find it again.
Okay. Good luck.
It's an EG copium call, so I want him to be able to do it. Let me try moving him around.
We want an EG
copium
call.
He messaged me back. Checking. What are you checking? You're in the call right now. Mike!
I'm sure they're scrambling. Let's see. Mark is technical supporting this person.
Take two? Mike!
If we go to the waiting room, does it work?
It was working in there a second ago.
Okay, let's move there. Mike, can we hear you here? We're in a different Discord chat.
Mike, I swear to God, you just talked to me in here. Where did you go?
Give their take, and hopefully they'll show up.
All right. The take was, I think that EG will reach playoffs easily and reach semis at minimum. After they will return from MSI, they will win Summer Split by stomping everyone in it. So we'll just limit it. It's the classic Hotline League take where they go too far with it.
Yeah. In 2024, EG will win Worlds. Okay. So wait. So it's they are getting out of groups and they're making it to semis easily. Is that what it was?
Yeah. I think semis meaning make the knockout stage because there's only 4 teams, so it's just the semis, you know.
Yeah.
So I think he means that they'll be fine, and that's the minimum they'll do. They might go further.
Yeah.
Hello?
Nope. Still not. Unfortunate.
How does this happen for people?
Okay.
I don't get it.
Well,
I'm so sad because he said it was going to be an honor to meet you guys. He seemed very nice, and now
I'm sure.
And it was
as sad as you are, Mark.
He was like, "Oh, I got to go change my computer over." So I was like, "Okay, great, we'll pull you back." But the other computer was working. He should go back to his first computer.
Maybe the first computer. Maybe that's what he just did because he disconnected and then he rejoined.
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sure as sad as you are, Mark, Mike is even more sad. So let's talk about EG's chances here. Who do you think could stop EG from making it out at this point in time based off of the first 2 days? PSG, I guess?
So in terms of the 3 open spots, assuming that G2, SKT, and did you just pull them back?
Yes.
Oh!
Hello, Mike.
Hello, guys.
Hi. Where are you calling from, Mike?
Bulgaria, Europe.
Oh, nice. From Europe. Oh, and wait, you're calling from Europe and you've got a pro NA take. This is awesome. I love
Yeah.
it when this happens. Okay.
Yeah. I
What-
think that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that EG are ramping up right now, at least in this tournament. I don't know what they will do at MSI, but I think when they come back to North America for summer, they will stomp. That's my take.
Okay, so real quick, when you said semifinals of this, you just mean reach the knockout stage because it's only 4 teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what they will do when they go there, but to be honest, I'm positive about it. I think they can do harm.
Why?
What makes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna
What makes
say
you
what makes you.
confident?
Fuck.
To be honest, it's Jojo and Danny. There haven't been so good players for a long time, you know. Maybe the best example is Vulcan. I think he's really good, but other than him, I haven't seen somebody pop off that much and bring so much attention to himself like those two.
Yeah, I think North America talent that has shined internationally. I know people meme Blabber for the Crabber stuff, but he's been okay internationally.
Sneaky?
Like not sneaky, but he was the old school. I mean, of like the new-ish guard, you basically have Vulcan, Blabber, and Liquor. And outside that, I don't think I'm forgetting anyone.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see 2 guys on the same team also being really young as they're doing it. So I understand the hype.
Yeah, it's exactly. They're super young and they can do actually really well maybe next year or even this year, you know, because I'm pretty sure they will go to Worlds as probably the first seed of America, if I'm correct, that they will stomp in summer.
So talking about making it semi, Mark, who do you think could stop them, or do you think no one could? I mean, I assume PSG and maybe Buffalo.
Group B is a bit of a shit show. PSG has dropped a game, then they played RNG, so that's just a tough one. But then Wildcats beat Red, who beat
PSG.
PSG. So that whole group to me could be one of those situations where they're all 2 and 4, and anyone can get out in some weird tiebreaker situation. I think for Group A, I'm actually more concerned about Saigon or DFM somehow like being really good and taking our spot, because I'm with the caller. We're making Rumble stage no matter what, and then realistically, it's a question of which of the other second seeds from the other groups could beat us. And Group B does not concern me as much as the Group A other teams. I think Group A, like even just watching, I cast a game between DFM and Saigon. Like they have some mechanically really good players for Saigon Buffalo, good enough to kind of beat up Keria and Gumayushi for a game. Like that's actually scary, given that Danny and Vulcan have looked a little weak. And DFM, even though they kind of trolled, or I guess they didn't troll, they just fell apart a little bit. Their first 15 minutes were actually super clean to that game. Like really, really good. I was pretty happy with it up until they gave away that first Rift Herald and a couple other little mistakes. So I think both those teams could be good enough to surprise EG and take games off of them and then maybe get over them.
This is a bit of a tangent really quickly, but I just want to say last year I was 50-50 on the format. Right now I'm not vibing the format, especially because in this discussion it feels like it's so weird that we're in like the group stage and we're just like, who could take our spot? Like that is where we're at now with like, okay, you go through group, you go through Rumble, you've got G2, T1, RNG up there unless something goes crazy, and then you're just like, okay, well, it's probably an A, but like maybe somebody will sneak the semis out from underneath us or something. Like, I don't know. It's so funny because that's so far from now, right? But yet you can already basically say This is almost certainly what's happening. Again, maybe there'll be an upset. I don't. Nothing is certain, but it's just like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm a little less confident that like 4th spot is our spot. I would say I would have to check, but off the back of my hand, I would bet that we don't even have 50% of the 4th seeds to ourselves from MSI. Flash Wolves took it a couple times. I feel like we missed it in some other situations. Obviously, PSG took it from us last year. Like the PCS.
But if the only
LMS
question for the first like 2 to 3 weeks of this tournament, Mark, is will NA take the 4th spot? Like, that's my point. You know what I mean?
I'm looking right now to actually just do it because it's not going to be that hard. A G2 also went G2 and 8 that one year. But I mean, I get what you're saying, but that's a lot of Worlds. We're like, okay, look at Worlds. You know, like the LCK and the LPL representative is basically getting out of every group outside of like the really crazy upsets. You know?
I mean, but there's usually at least one of those that like booms, and so it's interesting to say which one booms. There's often times where like the first seeds from specific regions don't do as well as like the 2nd or 3rd seed. Like there's a lot more storylines and a lot more to talk about. Obviously, it's because you've got more teams, but I just mean like, yes, it is often the case that the best or that the top regions do good and that North America's hanging out awkwardly in the middle somewhere. But I also just feel like it's more about the way that the stages are divvied up. It's not particularly exciting because right now we're sitting in group stage after 2 days, and we can pretty easily tell that the only question is going to be will NA make it or not to the.
Wait.
What?
NA's only made it twice.
Yeah.
If I did that right, 2016 and 2019. 2020 didn't happen. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 2021. And also one of those times that we did make it, EU didn't make it. So 4 out of 6 times LMS has made it over someone in the West. So like it's actually something worth looking into.
Yeah, that is interesting. I still think it's, I don't know. I guess I just don't. I feel like if the only point of the tournament is who wins finals and also who takes that 4th spot, and we've got like 3 weeks of this event, it's not. I feel like there's probably a better way to structure this, but I don't know. Maybe it just comes down to having one team from each region.
Yeah, I was gonna say it depends how cynical you want to be, because theoretically, you could make if you think that you know so much, like Worlds could literally just be grab 3 Korean teams, grab 3 Chinese teams, who's gonna win? You know, like just exclude everyone else if you want to be that like fatalist about it. You know, like there is an element to this that yes, it's all pretty obvious what's gonna happen, but also you gotta live for the upset because sometimes IG gets beaten by Team Liquid somehow and we make finals or something, you know, or so I mean it is true that. So Jet and I were talking a lot today off camera about format, and in one of these JLXPs we're going to do a big format discussion. I'm down to discuss because I do think there is a lot of I don't know if wasted time is the right word, but like instead of making the matchups as cool and fun as possible, there's a lot of time spent doing things that we already know is going to happen. Like, does anyone think T1's not going to get out of Group A? Do we really need to spend a week figuring that out?
Yeah.
There's logistical reasons, or I shouldn't say logistical. There's viewership reasons you want SKT playing at this portion of the stage, but there's also like, is there not a better structure to move us to the good matches faster and stuff? So I don't know. That's a topic beyond what we're talking about here. EG is not. I appreciate the optimism, my European friend, my Bulgarian friend, but I'm actually maybe even more scared given the history that NA struggles at MSI. Given that EG is, you know, they have to play G2 a lot, but I think there are some teams that they have to be worried about come group stage.
But who do you think that EG is screaming when they can't scream G2?
I mean, I think they'll look a lot better when they don't have to play G2. I think G2 is really good.
Mike, I don't know. You know what? If Mark is saying they won't make it, I'll say they will make it. I agree with you. They'll make it to.
Did I say they won't make it?
We have to hope for that.
He said he's skeptical, but
Yeah.
Mark
I
is
think they
hedging,
will.
but what he's trying not to say is that they won't make it. I feel like, Mark, will they or won't they make it?
Gun to my head, they're gonna make it.
Okay.
Mark, don't you have the same vibe with TL 2019 at MSI with this team? Because when you look at the logic, I don't think they will make it, but the vibe is exactly the same. I think they will.
You know
Because
what?
we don't
I'll take
believe in
that.
them, we should believe in them. Is Mike's argument?
I'm down. Has NA ever made sense? No. You know what? This is as good of a logic I've heard as before for anything.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Mike, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we say goodbye? I'm glad we got your mic working.
Shout out to Mark. I really liked his casting. And
Thank
that's
you.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Mark, are you doing a blame game this week?
Yes, I was. So I asked Juan about it. It might be a little late. I don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but I want to do it after the first round robin. I think
Okay.
based off the conversation tonight, you can assume it's about Jojo, Pune, and Danny.
Yeah.
But I just want to have the full, like they'll have played Order twice then as well.
Sure.
And yeah, they looked a lot better against Order,
Yeah.
So
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to shout out? I know it's getting late there.
shout out JLXP. If you guys haven't been seeing this, after every single day, right when MSI ends, I go live on my Twitch channel. It's a really short stream because we don't have much time. But we record JLXP live on my channel so I can steal all the subs. Jack gets to put it on YouTube. We pretend to be friends for content. No.
I remember when we used to be in a hot tub together right after MSI ends.
It was a pretty funny meme where someone's being like, wow, Mark went from Travis's hot tub to casting G2 versus EG.
I think it's just the power of working with me, I shine a spotlight on people that build them up, Anyway, thanks so much, everyone, for watching. I will hopefully get some interviews tonight. We will find out. Who knows? I don't know. Tough event to cover, especially remotely. But there should be other stuff hitting the channel. I'm probably going to hang out on stream and play some Genshin and try to do Abyss because Mark really wants me to, and so I will see what I can do.
Do it. You'll have so much fun.
And because
you need
I have
fun.
Put together a rational comp, which actually is incredibly fun to play.
Isn't it feel so good? Nothing
Yeah.
interrupts you. You just slap shit around.
Yes, it's actually insane. You like when you hit everybody's burst and then you go and I don't know how crazy of a team that you've played rational with, Mark, but I think it's just me having, I don't know, I think she's C2 or whatever, my Raiden plus engulfing lightning. Like I pop everybody's ult or burst and then I pop Raiden's burst. And it's just insane, the health. I just see bigger chunks out of the health bar. Like, I thought Ganyu did a lot of damage, but whenever I just press that burst and it crits, like, it's just insane. So, I don't know.
You have to try and get a screenshot and send me your damage. I want to see, like, with the Bennett burst on, with all your buffs stacked, like, show me that fat number.
Yeah.
That's what I need tonight.
Well, I'm building. I don't know when I'm going to get the next, because I got Yai to 80, so I need to start figuring out her artifacts and stuff. But
you have two teams now. You have a rational team and a taser team.
I mean, theoretically, I have like 4 because I could do taser, I can do freeze Ganyu, I can do Hu Tao, which I still don't know how to play, and I could do rational. So
realistically, on floor 4, you're probably going to want to do. I cleared with taser and freeze, but you might want to do rational and freeze. Your second half is freeze no matter what.
Okay.
Freeze Ganyu.
Well, I don't even know how this works because I know sometimes you like complete it and then you restart it to do it differently. Like
No, this one you can take those comps through all the way. You can either do taser and freeze all the way through or rational freeze all the way through. I've cleared with both.
Cool. All right. Well, either way, we'll see what I can do. Yes, I saw the Twitch chat comment too. All right.
League of Legends.
Thanks everyone for watching. Are we gonna do? When's the next one of these that we're gonna do, Mark? I guess we can do one Monday. Well, you're gonna be traveling.
I fly back Monday. It'd probably have to be Tuesday evening.
Tuesday evening. Okay. Well, we'll probably do it Tuesday evening. Hopefully you'll have recovered by then. So just stay tuned, everybody. We're hopefully going to do one Tuesday evening, but we'll see how.
Actually, no. I get back to Los Angeles at 5 p.m. on Monday.
Yeah, but Mark? I do not want you to have to.
Really, because I would love to be done with my content for the week.
Well, you'd still have a blame game probably.
Fuck. Okay. Well, I would still like to get stuff done immediately.
I mean, we'll talk about it offline. If you would like to do it, I would hate to do an international flight and then pop off and come straight from the airport and then immediately do a 2-hour show. I just cannot imagine. I don't even know if I want to do that with you because I feel like you will be
I'll be
mean
great.
and abusive.
Fuck you. Let's do it Monday. Goodbye.
All right. Bye, everyone. This has been the Hotline League. See you Monday.